no one is you, right? No one brings your vibe. No one brings the perspective that I am authentically sharing with you. And so that I feel makes you stand out. It's what you feel when you connect with a person, with the story, and even with the product.
That was Aminta Freeman, founder of Moodie Vibes. And this is Epicenter NYC. We connect our communities to news, information, and each other. I'm your host, Amber Castillo. Candles have become a staple of self-care culture, especially in recent years as more people look for ways to slow down and decompress. For many, lighting a candle isn't just about ambiance. It's a daily ritual, a moment to reset, reflect, and create a sense of comfort at home. That was definitely true for Aminta Freeman, the founder of Moodie Vibes, a candle company she launched out of her Staten Island home during the pandemic. A Brooklyn native and daughter of Guatemalan immigrants, Aminta was looking for a way to manage the stress of a demanding job, single motherhood, and the uncertainty of the world around her. Blending scents started as a personal ritual, but soon turned into something much bigger. Today, I sit down with Aminta to learn more about how she built her business from the ground up, why she chose to focus on scent and mood, and how her cultural roots and life experiences continue to shape her brand. Before we jump in, a quick message from our team.
Hi, I'm Mariana from the Epicenter NYC team with a quick health update. Flu, RSV, COVID, and stomach viruses are creating a pandemic, making public spaces, including schools, virus hotspots. Watch for severe symptoms like vomiting, RSV's sneezing and congestion, and the flu's high fevers and fatigue. Hydration, rest, and staying home when sick help keep families healthy. Protect your community. Wash your hands, clean surfaces, and keep up with vaccines. Need more info? Email hello@epicenter-nyc.com or text 917-818-2690.
Now back to the show. Here's my conversation with Aminta.
My name is Aminta Freeman, and I am proud Guatemalan American. Moved to New York City when I was like 3 or 4, raised in Brooklyn, and moved to Staten Island 5 years ago. And this is where I make my candles out of my home.
Could you say what you make and sell? What kind of experience?
In one sentence, is the
Yes.
scent of self-care.
Wow.
That's the sentence that I would say summarizes it all. The scent of self-care speaks to when I fell in love with candles, which I can tell you an idea, right? Like an era, not a specific time frame, because I've loved candles since I was like in my 20s. When I did go through the separation, when we did divorce, and my kids were like both very young in elementary school, we weren't using terms like self-care at the time. I just knew with limited resources that I could put them down after, they ate and they did their homework and bath time. I would put them to sleep and I would light a candle like every single night. And it was my time to decompress, my time to pour into myself, my time to reflect. Sometimes I was happy. Sometimes I was sad. Sometimes I was angry, which is why the name Moodie Vibes, because I think it's so important to feel what you feel. And the only way out of anything is actually through it, right? To really be present and own whatever it is that you're feeling. I just realized my kids would tell like family and friends, they're like, oh, Christmas, get her a candle, Mother's Day candle. And I was just like, yeah, I am like obsessed with candles. At the end of COVID, when we were still at home, I learned how to make candles, and it was like meditation for me. Like in the moment when I make candles and I'm pouring intentions into my candles, the world goes away. It's just my me time. Even my kids know. They're like, oh, if it's not burning, leave her alone. She's making her candles. And I just want to continue to pass that energy on to others. Anyone and everyone is doesn't have to earn self-care, right? It's a birthright. Resting, taking care of yourself, loving yourself. But I especially try to remind mothers and grandmas and tias and to pour into yourself so you can give from a place of overflow, because it's different when you give, when you're full and you give to others. It's like love. when you only give from obligation, it feels different, you know? That's how I took the class. I started making candles for my family and friends. One of my girlfriends, who's also a small business owner, she was nudging me. She's like, "Yeah, so when are you going to get the business going?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, one of these days." And she pushed me gently, and I'm so grateful. And we launched 3 years ago.
Do you remember when you were speaking about, falling in love with that self-care aspect of candles? Do you
Mhm.
remember the first scent where you started experiencing that?
Well, I can tell you when I was falling in love with the process of creating
Mm.
and also with the process of really, like, at the same time, creating something that I knew I was making for me instead of just everyone else in la familia or in the household. I was like, oh, this is my time and this is my creation and this is going to be just for me, you know? And that candle was my first candle. It's called, and my name is Aminta or Aminta, right? Ever since I was in kindergarten, people call me Aminta, so I've embraced it. But I named it So Minty Fresh and Clean Clean, right? Because it's very clean. It smells like a Sunday afternoon after you've cleaned the house and you feel proud of yourself. You know, you're like resetting for the week. And like the house is not clean if that candle is not lit. Okay. So that was my first one.
How did you know that there was this need or this niche that you were filling in the way that you would make candles or the kind of experience you were going to offer people?
Oh, that's such a great question. I knew that candles help me remember to take care of myself. And just knowing that worked for me. And it was something that was accessible, something that was affordable, something that, you know, would be wonderful to gift yourself or to someone else that you love. I knew if it worked for me, there were other mothers and other just people in need of self care. And so I just took a gamble, you know. It brings me so much joy to know that my candle is in someone's home and is has like a small part in their routine or their ceremony or whatever it is that you want to call it, but it makes a small difference into them giving back into themselves, pouring into yourself, you know, loving yourself.
And what was the biggest challenge when you were first starting up the business?
Definitely resources, you know. I just decided to just bet on myself, but like I used my tax refund, you know. And it was just like, you know, I could have used that for other things, but I was just like, no, I'm gonna bet on myself, you know. But it's still, you know, it's been really tough because it's a tough market. There is much competition out there, you know. It is a saturated market. But I knew that going in. And I just feel like no one is you, right? No one brings your vibe. No one brings the perspective that I am authentically sharing with you. And so that I feel makes you stand out. It's what you feel when you connect with a person, with the story, and even with the product, right? But resources, money, it's difficult when you're trying to start everything up with your savings and your refund in this case, or you know, it's hard, you know, to get a business credit. It's very difficult, but little by little, you know, I've been pushing and based on my sales, I have a website through Shopify. And so Shopify is able to see she's making sales here and these are like high months and these are like lower peaks. And so they've been able to work with me and they have amazing loans through Shopify. That's helped me.
It sounds like that's still a challenge, but I was wondering
Yeah.
if anything had changed since and how you navigate some of those challenges.
Yeah, totally. Like I learned candles are seasonal, you know, when you're home because it's cold outdoors, you
Mm.
know, it's like a vibe, right? But in the summertime, people are out and about. You know, they're not necessarily thinking, let me light this candle in this moment, but you pivot. And one of the things that I learned, I'm like, okay, so they're not going to come to me in the warmer months, but I can go to them. So I did do outdoor markets and that was fun. But what I really saw that people were enjoying making their own candles and pouring into themselves. So, you know, you go out with your girlfriends or with your boo or with your family members, and maybe you get something to eat beforehand. And then you'll hear a candle making workshop and it's something to do in the summer. And there are beautiful summer and spring fragrances. And so I tapped into that and I absolutely love facilitating candle making workshops. It's like another level of self care.
What are some of your best-selling scents?
My bestseller is In a Sentimental Mood. I carry it year round. It's one of the 4 signature scents, and when I tell you I can't keep that one in stock, it has a very popular patchouli scent that seems to be something that's, like, masculine and feminine, and everyone just loves it. And it has, like, a pink label, and, I'm telling you, like, it's my son's favorite, it's my mom's favorite, it's the number 1 seller in Staten Island. The second one is my first candle that we spoke on earlier. So Minty Fresh and Clean Clean, and that one is with a green label, and it does really well. We have another one called Pasta Vibes that's more like meditation, journaling, yoga, and that smells like Palo Santo and ganja flowers. So it's subtle but sophisticated. And
Where
lastly, from the signature scent, we have Azúcar, which is, all about La Reina de Salsa, Celia. And it smells like I have to be careful with my sugar, so my doctor says. So I have coffee and I like that candle, and it's like a bakery treat.
what would you say gives you the most joy in your business?
What brings me the most joy and gratitude is when I know again that my candle is in someone's home and it's making a difference. For example, I taught a candle making workshop in December, and the first week of January, one of the participants posted a reel on Instagram saying, this is something to do with, she and her girlfriend were chatting and they just both thought, what a perfect time to burn a candle for, bringing in the new year. But she titled her candle Running to God. And who knows what her journey is like, and who knows exactly what that means. But I know for me, it meant like, oh, you're doing something right. Those moments are everything to me. They just fill me.
What's your future vision for the business?
For a while, I thought that I wanted, like so many other candle makers and small business owners, to be in department stores and to just, be everywhere. But I'm slowly, as I quiet down and listen and pay attention again to what's going on, I really want to continue to build community, and I want to collaborate and see my candles and work with people with similar values. And that's very important to me. The candles, again, are for everyone, but especially for my mamas. And so when I see my mamas hurting outside of the country because of things that are happening, when I see, that, families are being censored by any ways, any means, it reminds me, okay, we want to be selective. We want to always pour back into community. And so I am, considering different boutiques, but really I just want to hone in places that care about community. That doesn't necessarily mean, all the big brand department stores. And I'm okay with that now, I really am.
Got it. And then you had mentioned before, being inspired by a certain flower in Guatemala. I'm curious if you can just speak about how often you've gone to Guatemala and a little bit about your family and
My
how they've
gosh.
informed this.
Thank you so much for asking that question. It's like so hard, right? Because I love my candles like I love my kids. I know that sounds crazy, but I do. And like a mom, you know your children, right? And you know how they receive love, and you know how their differences in their tastes and etc. So I feel like my candles are the same way. I love this candle. It's called Dia de los Muertos, and it's when we honor and celebrate our loved ones because we realize that love never dies, love never ends, right? And so I tapped into my family, my culture. I researched to learn more about how we celebrate this holiday in Guatemala. We left Guatemala when I was very young. And so I learned recently about the beautiful flowers and the beautiful arrangements, including food and candles and fur babies. And we do this at the local cemeteries. We make our loved ones' favorite meals and we leave them there. We create altars both at the cemeteries and at home. And so it was wonderful to learn, about the way Guatemalans celebrate, but also to be able to connect. It's also celebrated in Brazil, in Colombia, in Grenada, so many different places, right? And it just shows how we're connected, right? The other thing in Guatemala, they make these beautiful handmade kites. I mean, they're huge, huge. And the whole gist is to get close to the heavens so that we could be close to our ancestors. And as far as just like my background, my parents left Guatemala when they were like really young. They were in like their early 20s, walked away from everything that they knew, walked away from their native tongue, and moved to the US, to try something new. And that level of courage is what pushed me when I was starting new, when I was going through a separation and divorce, when I was, embarking in a small business. I'm like, if they could do that, and if they could start over, I could start over.
And where can folks find you?
Yes, yes. So definitely you can find me on our website. You can subscribe at www.moodie, that's MOODIE, vibes, VIBES.com. I am currently on Instagram and on Facebook, but I am, again, planning to make changes on that just because I want to be aligned with values. And because things are happening, this is why I'm really pushing the website, because I want to stay in communication and contact. And when we find a platform that is open to all communities, I think that's when we'll push a little bit more via social media. But I'm slowing down on Instagram and Facebook at the moment. So our website would be the best way. And I will be updating information on our website so you can see when I'll be at different markets, and people can sign up if they are interested in candle making workshops and those kind of things.
You can explore Aminta Freeman's candles and learn more about her workshops at moodievibes.com or by clicking the link in our show notes. You'll find signature scents inspired by music, culture, and memory, each one designed with intention and care. And if today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend. We'd also love to hear from you. Leave us a review or reach out to us at hello@epicenter-nyc.com. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting us as we do our best to support our community. We couldn't do it without you. For more stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter at epicenter-nyc.com. Our intro music is All the Pretty Horses by Caravika. You can find more of their music on their website, linked to in our podcast description.